Well, I'm trying it on. Hello, 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 everyone. I am Jewel, your host. Tonight, I'm trying to go live. I am trying to say welcome tonight. Please remember to turn your devices on mute. If you have more than one device, you should only be using one. So let's try this again. Tonight we're going to talk about what can we talk about? The stress of it all. I have met a wonderful lady who is a person that I met. She lived in so many different places. I know she's an ordained minister. She's an author. Um, we're just going to talk about the shock of it all. You never know when trouble is right in your back door or front door. So we have someone coming on that we're just going to chop it up and talk about the different things that are going on, people going through it. The pain, the shock of it all. Even though we got to push through it, we just need to come on a safe platform and talk about all the different things that's going on. So I want to bring on a guest. Uh, Her name is uh, Dorothy. We call it better known, AKA Dr. Dorothy. So I'll just have her come on and let's just get the party started, shall we?
Hello, how are you, Jewel?
I'm hanging in there. How are you?
I'm fine. Your subject, the topic fascinates me because of several things. The main one being that we don't always know that we're grieving because we've been sort of programmed to think that grief has to do with death or something very specific. But grief can be caused by disappointment. It can be caused by so many things. It can be a surprise. It can be a thought that you hadn't thought about. It could be pain from when you were a kid, but it piles up. See, we seem to think that grief has a beginning, middle, and end. Not so. Grief builds on itself, and we're confused into thinking that it is a discrete thing and that we can handle it. Well, the fact of the matter is, I can't handle grief, at least not by myself. I can't do it. It's too painful. It's too burdensome. It's just too much to bear. And maybe that's why our ancestors wrote those songs that they sang in the fields in the South, or when they were working in the stockyards in Chicago, or wherever. But we have songs that we can use to help heal ourselves. I can't hear you. I don't know what happened. I'm not hearing you.
A second, I just seemed like I lost your connection.
Yeah, we
So,
did for a while.
I'm sorry.
I said we did lose connection for a while because I could see your lips moving, but I couldn't
Oh,
hear you
okay.
talk.
Okay.
Okay.
So I see we have another guest on. I should have got my other phone, so let me say some. Let me try and log on that way. Okay. Huh. We were doing just fine, and now all of a sudden, I don't know what that is, but I can hear you. So tell us about yourself and how you got started and the reason for your book.
Well, let's start with the reason for the book. I had two daughters. My younger daughter, Courtney, died suddenly. It would be 6 years ago on a chilly April Sunday morning. No warning, no nothing. And I went into a tailspin. I had had deaths in my family and deaths of people who were very significant to me. My mom and dad at different times. My first grandson, when he died of sudden infant death syndrome. But there was nothing like the pain of Courtney's death. I'm fortunate in that I have two or three very good friends. One of them saw me spiraling down. Without my knowing, she had decided that she was going to teach me how to blog. She showed up one morning unannounced, said to me, "Come on upstairs to your office. Whether you want to know how to do this or not, I'm going to teach you how to blog. So whenever you feel the need to do that, you can do it." Well, I'm an English major by training, and I taught high school English for quite a number of years. And so I went through the tutorial, and it was painful because I'm not good at stuff like that. Left it alone, got trying to survive. I was just numb, to tell you the truth. And then one day I came into the office to get something, looked at my notes, and thought, well, might not hurt to try, although I don't see what sense it makes. I didn't think I had the discipline to write as I thought blogs would go. Well, I sat down and the words just came. Now, I need to back up and tell you that 20 years ago, when I first started writing, and I was doing proposals and those kinds of things, but I would sit in the chair and I'd say, "Now, God, you write and I type." Now, people don't type anymore and they haven't in 100 years. So it was that long ago. And I didn't realize that I was inviting God in. But that's what popped out of my mouth. And that's what happened. So when I first started blogging, I tried to blog or publish, as we call it, 3 times a week. And I did that for maybe 6 months or so. And one day I decided to look at the statistics. That's part of the blog page. And I was shocked. I almost fell out of the chair. People were blogging from Ukraine, from France, from the United Arab Emirate, from England, from Bogota, all over Africa, and I was just shocked. And then I had to understand that it had nothing to do with me because I didn't try to publish or to advertise. I have to say it was God. And the people who went online looking for something evidently saw the title, which is Notes from a Broken Heart, and they evidently started reading me. I still don't know But at a certain point, someone said, well, why don't you try publishing? Well, that happened. And as I said, I published first on Amazon last April. I had to pull the book for technical reasons. It's now uh, been published for the second time. And so it just it allows me to talk about things in writing that I probably couldn't talk very well about in person, because grief is just devastating, and that's putting it mildly. Each one of us who's experienced grief has a word or words or vocabulary that has changed as a result of the loss. Well, the other thing is that I had been doing grief work when I lived in Orlando, Florida. I did grief work at my church, and it helped me. And I was not healing except for the sudden infant death of my grandson some years before that. Grief never ends. It eases up. Sometimes it's not as hard as other times, but it's there. It's just part of me. And I have had to learn to take my burdens to the Lord and leave them there, as my mother or grandmother would sing. I've had to learn to lean and depend on God. I've had to learn to ask for help, and that from somebody who's very independent, who got independence and dependence mixed up based on whether or not I was talking about work or whether I was talking about spiritual matters. And that's what I've had to learn. God has unusual ways to teach us what we need to know. And one of the scriptures that is a mainstay of mine is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, and they're for your good and for you to prosper. And I guess just in case God wanted to make sure we understood that, he had Jeremiah say in the first chapter of the book, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. Well, you can't get any closer than that. And so it's a journey, and sometimes it's painful. It's as painful as it was just about 6 years ago. And sometimes it's not. So I just have to cast my cares on God because he cares for me. And that's what I try and share with people. Because I still talk to people online, and people, I give out my card all the time. People can call me at any time because grief needs
That's a
listening.
beautiful thing. And, my condolences to you and your family.
Thank you.
It's never easy. And I know we have a guest on, so, I'm going to put your book on the platforms. Let me see if I can run a banner with your book. And I see Miss J. I'm gonna so here at the bottom, here is your notes from a broken heart. And you also have a blogger. Now, let me pull up one of my friends since I'm having such difficulty with these platforms. My apology. We're going to do this again, and we're going to keep doing it until we get it right. Because not only do people need some sort of support, but so many people are going through so much, and
Oh
grief
yes.
is a big part of it,
Yes
not
it is.
knowing how to handle certain things. So let me see if I can get my buddy on stage. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you?
Hello, hello,
Hi,
hello,
hello. We are
hi.
struggling with this social platform, but I promise you guys we're going to try and get this um, handled. But I felt the need to bring Dr. Dion so she can talk about things, but not only that, just life in general. You know,
Exactly.
people are struggling, people are going through so much. And uh, Dr. D, meet Miss J. Miss J Speaks has a podcast as well. But we want to
Okay.
get the word out about your book. Let me see if I can show that to you, everybody, so you can see the book.
Well,
Here we
wonderful to
go.
meet you,
We're going to show it.
Miss J.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Dorothy. I've heard some very, very nice things about you. So glad to meet you too, sweetheart.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you see that?
Yeah, we saw the book. The cover of the book.
Yeah,
There it is.
you can
Yes.
see.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay,
It,
so that is
And it's
Miss J. That's her book, and you guys, she also has a blog. I put the information below, and I'm needing. I don't have my. There it is. Notes from a Broken Heart
yes.
by
Uh-huh.
Dr. Dorothy T. Clark. So everybody, you can get it on Amazon. Um, you can also go to her blog spot, Notes from a Broken Heart blogspot.com. Make sure you visit because we do want to uh, have a platform where people can come and talk, and
Yes.
maybe Dorothy, Dr. Dorothy can come on again and we can talk about different things that's going on in the world. But I feel like this book can help some people if you've gone through a loss, you need someone to talk to. We're going to try and do this more often. So thank you for sharing your book.
thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Yes. And uh-oh, I didn't even touch it, guys. It's doing what it wants to do. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So
Can I
Lena, help me out
can I
here.
can I say something? Um, First, let me say, I know y'all. I don't know if in the Facebook Live world that you can hear it echoing. If you can, like Miss Jewel said, we're gonna apologize about that, but we're gonna roll with this tonight. Um, but Miss Dorothy, I
Yes,
got a question I want to ask.
sure.
Um, when you, I noticed you said when you started writing, that person that had showed you how to start blogging, right?
Right.
Okay. At that stage, at that time in your life, and you're doing whatever you was dealing with, right? You started doing this blogging, and you start putting your thoughts, what they say, your thoughts to paper, right?
Yes.
If you can remember, can you go back to when you first felt as you was writing it down? Can you remember that feeling that you had of like elation, like, yes, this is what I needed to do?
It was relief and it was surprise, really, because I know how to write. I mean, I do technical writing for a living. So I knew how to do that, but I did not know that the pent up sadness would come through my pen or the keyboard. It was as if someone had taken my fingers and was using them. Now, remember, I had been saying God, you write and I type, but it was for a different kind of writing. This is what I could say about the shock of the morning when I got the call saying, Mom, I have to come and get you. Courtney's in the hospital. And the breakdown, because I've always been known as a strong person. And I talk for a living, so it's not difficult for me to talk, but I couldn't talk about those things that were deep within. So when my fingers started hitting the keys, and believe it or not, I wrote about a former sister in law who had died 1 month before Courtney. And these words came out about when we first met, when her brother and I were married, and she was an excellent cook and all of that, but I don't make outlines. I don't do that. When I sit down and I know I'm going to blog, I pray, of course, and then I say, God, you write and I type, and it just flows. Now, what happens though is I can be in the kitchen loading the dishwasher, and a phrase will come into my mind. And I stop, dry my hands, write the phrase down, finish what I'm doing, and then I'll go in the living room or come upstairs, and the words just come. So it's a gift. I take credit for it. God is doing this. And I'm happy that He is, but I had no idea that this was in me. Technical writing, yeah, I can do that. I'm trained to do that. But from the heart, my heart was broken. My heart still is broken. But God helps me. And I suppose it's to help other people. Because if you haven't experienced loss, it's going to happen. And there's no preparation for it. You just read about other people and how they got over. You know, it's an old song. How I got over, how I got over. My soul looks back and wonder how I got
How I got
over.
over. Yes.
And you see, growing up in a religious family, that's what we called it then. I was in Sunday school all the time. I was a junior usher because I can't sing. But I was active in church, and so I didn't realize then that all the songs that I heard and memorized, and all the Bible verses we learned in uh, Bible Sunday school, all of those was God inputting into me at that young age. I had no idea.
See?
All I knew is that I memorized well.
Wow.
And I didn't know that it was for a purpose. Well, that's what her death, Courtney's death, has opened me up to understand that there's a reason for everything that happens to us. And I'm learning to ask God. You know, I grew up hearing, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Now I'm understanding what that means. It just happens. But it's because it's God. Again,
Yes.
I take no credit for it at all.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not me writing. I'm not that smart.
And I got another question. As I'm thinking about this, as you were saying, would you suggest if, if excuse me, if someone does this, well, it's no way that you can't be truthful when you coming from the heart. Excuse
That's
me.
right.
Mm.
I was needing something to go get you a snack. You okay, Miss J?
I'm gonna be honest and tell y'all what it was. I was trying to hurry up and eat this brownie real quick before I actually came and sat down and before we got ready to go live. And this sort of got stuck right up in here.
Okay.
I was,
Gotcha.
but I'm okay now. I'm because y'all know I tell the truth. And also Miss Jewel is Miss J's Unfiltered talk show and podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, as I was stating, when you writing, you can't when you doing something of this nature and of this magnitude, it's no way you can lie.
No.
See, because you're coming from here now.
Yeah.
You're coming from here now.
Yeah.
And that's where all the truth,
Mm-hmm.
all the truth and all the realization that's gonna be put down on paper. Now you may have told some fibs to, in the world, but when you coming from here, that's where all the truthness got to come from.
And
All
it
the truthness
does.
and
You are
exactly.
so on target.
Thank you.
You are
Yes.
so on target because many times, most of the time, I don't know what I'm going to share.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of one of my sister's nephew died, and she asked me to call her, the lady, and pray with her, and I said I would. Instead, I sat at the uh, computer and I wrote a letter to the lady and her husband. But the words that came, I had no idea were anywhere in my mind.
See?
And in fact, I just published it, I think this morning. So it'll be up and out. It's up and out now, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I had no idea that I would share with them what I shared with them. But you're right. You know, the what is that song? Flowing from my heart are the issues of flowing from my mind are the issues of my heart. And we can't control those.
Mm-hmm.
We can't
I
control
just
them.
wanted to ask that. What do you think about that?
You are
Mm-hmm.
absolutely right.
You can't lie. Their
Because
heart is not gonna lie.
the heart is where everything emanates from. It
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
And the heart can be broken, but the heart can heal also. And
Okay. Do
so,
you really feel that? I
yes,
mean, I want to. Do you really feel that a person's heart can really heal? That's
yes,
really.
I'm a living witness, as the old folks used to say. My heart has not healed completely. I don't know if it ever will. But the difference between me now and then, I'm a new creature in Christ Jesus. And I'm
Okay.
not proselytizing or anything. I'm just saying I'm
Right. Right.
understanding what comes from the heart, what's in the heart.
Okay.
And love is
I
in
can
the
accept that.
heart. That's one
I
of the
can
things
accept
that
that.
I've learned. I've learned to love people, not
Mm.
superficially,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm with
not
you.
just to say it, but to really love people. And that leads into forgiveness.
Mm.
I'm learning to forgive. And it's not, I'll forgive, but I won't forget attitude. No, no. I want basically to be like Jesus, to learn to love, no strings attached. Because other than wanting my new puppy to replace or
Mm.
the one that I had to put to sleep, I just want to do what I can to make the world a better place. And I don't
better
want to
place.
sound like a Girl Scout or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that I recognize how God is working in me and through me. And I had no idea that any of this was in me. You know what made me happy?
Well,
Reading books. I can't help it. I used to be very shy and I stuttered. So I read all the time. Now you want to make me happy? Just make sure I have enough books. I go to the
wow.
library every 2 weeks and all of that. I had no idea that I had anything that anybody would want to read or hear. So this is all new to me. I
Mm-hmm.
had lived quite some years before 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm a completely different person. I can't
That's
explain
all
it.
right. That's
Yeah,
all right there.
yeah.
So, are you guys, can you think, Dorothy, like back in the day, uh,
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Put your headphones.
Okay.
But I guess you got a point there, Miss Dorothy, because you know you got a lot of people will talk about, well, I'm gonna forgive you, but I'm not gonna forget.
Uh-huh.
I've always felt that half stepping,
It is.
you know, that's half stepping. If you're gonna forgive and let it be, not forgive and you're gonna bring it back up 5 more years from now. That's not getting it.
It's not getting
That's
it,
not
and
getting
you're
it.
absolutely
It's
right.
not. That's not getting it at all. If you're gonna forgive, and let it go.
But you know what? I think I had to learn that I could not myself alone forgive. I had to ask God, God,
Oh
help
yes.
me
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
forgive.
sometimes you gotta call him in there. I know I
Yeah,
did many
yeah,
times.
I got to. But I would ask him, help me to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember forgiving a brother of mine, and it lasted about 2 days. 3 days later, I'm mad at him again. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm learning the difference between personal independence and dependence on God.
Mm-hmm.
See, I have to depend on Him.
Mm-hmm.
That,
That's deep.
uh-huh. But you know, I have gotten rewarded tremendously in my personal and work life because they would say on the when they would do the reviews and all of that, she makes decisions quickly. She involves, just all of those kinds of things, which really had me thinking it was me. And when I understood, it was me by the grace of God. I wasn't
Mm.
doing it, but God is kind enough to let me think that I was doing it
Mm-hmm.
until I was ready to understand. It's you. It's you, Father. It's you, God. It ain't me.
Mm-hmm.
I really, I'm just a normal human being. What
That's all right.
what I get comes from God, you know. And I'm always thinking of song titles, and I was talking and I was thinking my help comes from the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up when I did, hymns and gospels and all of that really were sermons. I'm understanding. You read the lyrics to a song and they're sermons.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just
Mm-hmm.
are there to minister. See, we want to think that we can do it all ourselves. We want to
Uh-uh.
be self sufficient because that's what we're rewarded. by the world when we do that. But I've had to learn, and I'm speaking only for me.
Okay.
It's not me, it's God. And so I ask him now. I am not ashamed to ask him. God help me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a sister who says that every time we talk, we're praying, whether we realize it or not. So ask the Savior to help you, comfort, strengthen, and keep you. He is willing to aid you. He will carry you through. That's a sermon.
Mm-hmm.
And if we follow it by asking, he will answer.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to
Come on
be,
with it.
I'd be driving, because I lived in several places, but I'd be driving in Georgia, for example, and I'd be saying, I need to ask God to help me do this, and I need to ask God to help me do that. And I discovered all I was doing was saying what I needed to do. I wasn't doing it. So we have to do it. And there's a song older than all of us put together that says, there's nothing to it but to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we can take it from a statement to a prayer and then to a thanksgiving. We ask God and then we thank Him. I thank you, Father, for supplying my every need according to your riches and glory by Christ Jesus. And so we're asking and we're thanking. So we're doing two things. My problem was I was impatient. I would decide, well, he should answer me in about 30 days. If he hasn't answered me in 30 days, he's not going to answer me. That's why I was praying the same prayers over and over and over again, because I was putting a time limit on him.
You can't do that.
I found out the hard way. Just slows you down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
All right, Jewel. What you think?
Hmm?
Can you hear us, Jewel?
Yeah, I was just saying how, yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just saying, what a story and a beautiful way to look at different things, which makes me wonder, how people are doing and how are they looking at life now. And, let's talk about how difficult it is for people to just get through it, how we all need to find a way to just press through it. So many people are going through so much.
Exactly.
It's just difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I liked about the fact that you found peace in God, what about the people that are angry? What about the people that don't know Him? What can we say about that? Let's talk about that.
Well, I think what we have to do is to initiate some things. We live in our own little cocoons. Now, years ago, there used to be neighborhoods, and you knew the person next door and across the street. Now, everybody moves all the time, everything is transient. It used to be that you kept a friend for years.
Mm-hmm.
They moved away, and that's why they were no longer there, but you still kept in touch with them. I believe we are being trained to be distrustful of each other, not to trust that somebody would have my best interest at heart. And scripture says, go into all the world and preach the gospel. But we don't have to go, we don't have to be preachers. We don't have to go into all the world. But how many of us know at least half the people on both sides of the street on our block? So we have to, we got to take the initiative because we are at peril. This world is dangerous now. And people are being pitted against each other. And we have to be aware of it. And if we do nothing else except be aware of how we're being manipulated, how we're being made to fear each other, how we're being demeaned and dehumanized, we got to open these kids' eyes, for one thing. You know, I don't know about the Denver Public Schools, but it would seem to me that if I wanted to volunteer, I could go right down the street and they could do the investigation. And if I wanted to go in and read or help a teacher, I ought to be able to do it. But we're led to believe that we're helpless, and we're not.
We're not.
We are strong people. We come from a strong background. We can trace it past 1619 when we were brought over here against our will. We're strong people. But we have to be told that over and over and over again.
That's
and
right.
we have to do it starting with our grandkids, our little cousins, whomever. But we have to take the initiative. And I'm certainly not saying God's supposed to do it all, for goodness sakes. That's why He gave us the gifts. He wants us to use what He's given us. And we don't. Because we just get too busy and too distracted. We don't. But we must. As a race, our continued existence depends on us getting together, on coming back as community, as family. You know, we called people cousins when we were growing up who were not our cousins.
Yep.
But we treated them like cousins.
As if. That's right.
And so they were, in fact. But there's some dangerous things being done in this world today.
It is.
They're dangerous. And we have to be alert and on guard.
Yeah.
Take a deep
I
breath.
mean, yeah, the neighbors do everybody. Yeah.
But one thing I've noticed is, let me see how this. I'm gonna try to say this just as delicate as I can. I noticed a lot of us are afraid or don't want to or don't care about picking the phone up and calling a friend or an associate or your sister or your brother to ask this question here. How you doing?
Yeah.
How you doing? See, a lot of us is so scared or reluctant to do that because Jewel picked the phone up and called me. Now, girl, this song just so going on with me. See, some people don't want to hear that. But see, what you gotta understand, that person that you picking that phone up to call and say, look, I've been on my mind for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks, girl. What's going on? How things going with you?
Yeah.
Now you done open up the gate for me to say, Jewel, I am so glad you called.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what I'm going through? You see what I'm saying? And some of us don't do that anymore.
I know.
So scared to hear or don't want to hear the person say, well, I got girl, my lights can get cut out tomorrow. I need $80 more to go with my 350. Now I ain't trying to hear all that, but see, people don't like to do that.
I know.
People like to do that.
Because
Oh my gosh.
we don't know that the more we give, the more we get. God rewards us treating each other like brothers and sisters and cousins and aunts and uncles and all of that. And Jesus lived the life so that he was the example. But you're
Exactly.
right. Somebody's got to break that mold. Somebody's got to be the first to do it.
You need to start picking the phone up and calling a friend or calling an associate. Or if you friends with somebody on Facebook, you've been friends with somebody on Facebook 4-5 years, FaceTime or face, call them through FaceTime. Say, girl, what you? And look, hey, you been on my mind for a couple of weeks, girl. What you doing? Just start by doing it, y'all. Because you would be surprised how somebody need to have somebody to vent to. Somebody might be sitting there wanting to cry and just need somebody that just to have that shoulder or that ear to listen. Now let me say this too. Now I got to come right back with this. Now sometimes you gotta be careful who you vent to.
That's
true.
true.
Because everybody is not going to have a hush hush.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You hang up the phone, now they calling Sally Mae, Susan Mae, and all that. So you have to be sort of selective who you want to vent to. I mean, especially something real personal, So we have to use our judgment when it comes to that. We gotta be sort of, do I want to tell her about this? Or, you gotta sort of feel that person out. But now if you've been friends or associated with somebody that's on Facebook for 2 or 3, 4 years, you should about know that person.
Yeah. You're right.
And especially y'all constantly keeping in contact with one another, you should about know that person. Whether you can talk to them like that.
And even before that, what I do is I ask God, what should I do about Susie Q? Okay, what would you have me do? In fact, I wake up in the mornings and I don't want to sound like a goody two shoes, but I've learned to say, God, what would you have me do today? And you know what? He answers. Now he does. When I first started doing this, I didn't always recognize that he was answering me, cause a thought would come in my head and I wouldn't connect it with having asked God, what would you have me do? That's learned. But we can ask God and he really and truly answers. I guarantee the reason we don't always believe it is because we don't do it. Again, we think about what we should do. God, I need to call Susie Q. Or I need to call my sister Lucy in San Diego and see how she's doing. And then I get distracted doing something else. And so it's asking God to teach us to focus and to complete a task. And I'll never forget growing up hearing my father say, if a task is once begun, never leave until it's done. Be the labor great or small, do it well or not at all. And you grow up and you forget that stuff. But that's, in fact, what we need to do. I need to finish one thing before I start two others. Okay. But I really do need to do what you said because it's simple. Everybody's got a cell phone. Everybody can type and all of that. Just ask. And you don't know, but the person you call may have already asked God to help them. And your calling would be answering, their prayers being answered. No man is an island entire unto himself. So never ask for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. And you need to market that. You need to market it on your pod all the time because people don't always know what to do.
Well, that's some good wisdom there.
Yeah.
Um, we talked about, did we go over? There's so much we can talk about. What do you think, Miss J? Is there any questions that you have, or um, the book we do know is about grief? You know, it's hard to handle grief, but like we're
Yeah.
going back to the different things
Mhm.
in the community, all the things that we used to do, what kids aren't even used to anymore. They don't even know how to um, start trusting, the seniors in the community.
Right.
We have to get back to basics, and I say
Mhm.
that too,
Exactly.
especially now. Um, we are, to me, we are responsible. I
We
feel
are.
like the older generation is responsible, and we should put love and trust back into our kids. But listening to you say all these wonderful things, it brings back my childhood memories.
Mhm.
And I keep saying that, we got to get back to
We
basics.
do.
So, what else can you say, especially in these trying times with everybody going through so much? And the fact that we need to connect, the fact that we need to call and talk to people and just say hello. I know I had an experience. If somebody's on my heart, I did that one time and she passed away. The next day never came. And
Mhm.
so that's something I practice. If somebody's on my heart, I'm going to call them. But what can you say to those that are pushing people away? They don't even know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. There's a lot of people that push people away and they genuinely care. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, I think the reason people might push others away is because they've been hurt, they've been burned, and it takes a while to develop trust. So it don't give up. Don't give up if you're rebuffed 5, 10 times. Just keep letting the person know I'm here for you. What if I can do something? I will do it. If I can't, I'll let you know. I'm not going to pretend that I got all these resources, but I do have a listening ear. And that's one of the things I started when after Courtney died. I'll listen to anybody and I tell people I don't have any babies. So you can call me anytime. And I won't
And
have to get
see, and
off the
that's
phone
what
to
I
feed your
say.
baby or something like that. But
Yeah,
we
and I
have
say
to
that too.
pursue. We have to just and I say to people now, if I'm bugging you, please let me know. Doesn't mean I'll stop calling you, but at least I'll know I'm bugging you. But let me
Don't you
know. And
find
you
some
don't
people,
if you,
they don't want to deal with the issues? I
no, they
mean, that's
don't.
an issue too. A lot of
So
people don't want to deal with the
we have
issues.
to help people learn how to do it. And for me, a lot of it is learning to trust God, learning to trust the creator of the world. I think we lost so much when churches stopped doing Sunday school. We grew up with Sunday school, but now they don't do Sunday school. They may do 2 services, 8 and 11, but where do you learn the stories in the Bible that will help you make it through the day? There's a man, he's been in heaven now, I guess, in 15 years, but his name was Bishop G.E. Patterson out of Memphis, Tennessee. And he's one of those old fashioned, down home preachers. But that man is so wise, it's not even funny. And he doesn't browbeat you, he doesn't beat you up. No, he talks about a God of grace, a God who loves us. See, and we grew up in Sunday school being told all the time, God loves you. Singing the little song, yes, Jesus loves me. Okay? I don't know. Well, we have all of this technology. Why couldn't we start some podcasts for kids, age related? Why can't we do that? We can do it. Now, I'm not a technical anything. Jewel, you know me. You know, it's difficult for me to follow your directions. But I don't have to do that part. Maybe I could do the writing part. Or maybe I could do the helping to find kids part. Because everybody doesn't have to know everything. And so we identify our gifts because He gives us gifts. All of us have gifts. I don't care if you say you don't, I know you do. Because when I used to talk to 4-year-olds, 6-year-olds, I would tell them, when you were born, God had put everything in you that you'll ever need in life. All you have to do is learn to ask Him. See, instead of seeing God as far up in the sky, far away, or whatever, we have to teach our kids that God is a spirit, of course, but He's a spirit of love. And because He's a spirit, He gave us His Son Jesus, who was a man. He was both man and God. And you got all these stories in the New Testament, especially the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. You got all these stories that talk about Jesus and all the things He did, and how He trained up disciples, and how He chose disciples, men who were far from perfect. I mean, Peter was, anything that came up came out of him. Okay? But He chose regular people, and He wants to use us. And He gives us, He puts inside us. Now, He's not going to do it all. I got to do some of it. I got to. I have to be uncomfortable sometimes. I have to be. And that was my daughter. I thought I had turned the phone off.
It's okay.
Okay. No, I got it off. But we can't just have it easy. If it's easy, we'll never really learn much of anything.
Exactly.
You know? And God will always protect them. But people who don't know God don't know that. And sometimes they just might need to hear it.
You're right.
Over and over again. So maybe we can start talking about ways that we could identify kids and what they may need. You know, if somehow or another we could get to kids and ask them, what frightens you? What do you want more than anything else? Just whatever questions we think they may have. Kids will
Mhm.
talk to you.
Oh
I know
yeah.
they did because I taught high school for what, I don't know, 6, 7 years. They'll tell you stuff.
Oh, I've had my grandkids on my shows with me a couple of times, talking to them, asking them questions, and my teenage ones she be graduating this year. Matter of fact, I recently asked her about coming on, and because she's 18,
Hmm.
and about coming on and let's have a conversation about high school and the things that's going on in high school.
Hmm.
Um, um, do your friends be telling you they scared? Someone might come in the building and start shooting. Do y'all talk about it?
Right.
I
Yeah.
recently had a conversation with her about that, and about coming on, picking a date for her to come on, and we have a conversation because
That's
believe
it.
it or not, the kids are going to school now. And I'm gonna say this because I'm just gonna go on and say it. Because one thing about me in this store, I think you continue to be around me. You see, Miss J, just keep it 100. It's already something that our black kids already have to deal with. Number one, for
Hmm.
being that color.
Yeah.
Now they're dealing with all this crazy stuff in school. Children come to school with guns.
Yeah.
Children come to school and killing people.
Yeah.
The children stand at the bus stop and somebody decide they want to drive by because they're mad at that one right there. They thinking they can do like they did on the game on the ops. They can get them like they're supposed to, but they hit the wrong person.
Yeah.
Kids are worried about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not only that, here we go. Now they worried about when I graduate, what I'm gonna do.
That's right. That's right.
Now they're dealing with the world now. See,
Yeah.
this is a conversation that I asked my granddaughter when she come on my talk show. I'm gonna set it up for next month for
That's
her to come on
wonderful.
my talk show because
Yeah.
I want to have this kind of conversation because
Yeah.
she's getting ready to go into the world.
That's right.
She's getting ready to graduate in June, go off to college. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So she's getting ready to go into the world.
That's
And
right.
I done been in her shoes. So I
Hmm.
know it's stress there.
Yeah.
I know it's stress.
You're right.
I know it's stress. We
I
got to talk about it.
We do. I think we ought to be having these conversations all over the place.
But you got some parents now that may not want their kids to be on a platform talking.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? You
And
got
that's
some that,
okay.
oh
That's
yes, it
okay
is.
because there's so many others who would,
Who will, yeah.
you
And be
know?
sitting there with it, and the parents sit there with the child
Yeah.
while we all are having a conversation.
Yeah.
But you got some, but I can't wait for me to book that with my granddaughter
Yeah.
and
I
have that.
certainly want to hear
Um,
that.
oh, I always have a flyer out with everything that I be doing.
Okay.
And then I always ask people if they're interested to sign my form.
Mm-hmm.
Some people sign up, some people won't, but it's
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
So you're right. We gotta have that conversation.
If
We
we
gotta
just,
we gotta get them back to God. We gotta get them back to knowing who they look entity they can look forward to
that's right.
and grab on to when things start getting a little haywire.
That's right.
They can sit in their dorm and start praying. And
Mm-hmm.
that girl over there asking you, what you want? What's wrong with you? Oh, I'm praying to God now that these things work out for me.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
to get our kids back to that.
We
You're right
do.
about that.
We do.
You're right about that.
Yeah, there's an old song. Let us all go back to the old landmark,
Mm,
and that's what we need to do
that's true.
because our parents and grandparents and great grandparents did a tremendous job
Exactly.
of
Hmm.
raising us. They did a
Hmm.
tremendous job, and we
Hmm.
haven't forgotten it. You
Hmm.
know, my favorite expression is love is spirit, and spirit never dies.
Oh wow.
And when you think about the stories your grandmother told you,
I do it all the time, especially here lately.
yeah, yeah, it's amazing.
Hmm.
But that's what we have
Sure
to,
do.
you know, to whom much is given, much is required. And you all have the technical skill and all of that. And these podcasts should be springing up all over the United States.
Yeah.
And it can be done. Because there are people like us who want to do something. We just don't know where each other is.
Yeah, but now, Miss Dorothy, I gotta be honest now.
Mhm.
It is a lot of people that will choose not to collaborate with you. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Sometimes just out of meanness,
Yeah.
sometimes because they don't like you. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I've never been that type of person. I always let anybody know when they're watching me live. I always say on my live, anybody need me to help them with something, let me know. I help, I do that.
And that's all we are required to do. We can't reach everyone.
That's right.
You know, if we can reach two people and help them turn their lives around,
That's
help
right.
them see their own strengths.
Mm-hmm.
It's two people we don't have to worry about contemplating suicide, because
Exactly.
suicide is a real problem with kids.
See, that's what we're gonna talk about. Yeah.
And all of the social media that's manipulating them and all of that, we have to counteract that
Mm-hmm.
and let them know there's something to live for. God's got a
Exactly.
plan for you, child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm willing to do whatever I can to
Okay.
help. I really am.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and let's see what a difference we make.
Exactly.
We can. I'm telling you,
Exactly.
black people are powerful people. We
Most
really
definitely.
are. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not to say that other groups aren't
Or
powerful.
not. Right.
I'm,
I get
I'm,
it.
I'm not comparing. I'm just telling you the truth as
The
I see
truth.
it.
Because we have sustained it so much.
You
And we
telling me?
still standing. And we
Yeah,
still standing.
yeah. I
So
mean,
yes.
what other people could
Yes.
be in the field close to 18 hours a day, every day, and may not have gotten a chance to go to church because, you know, it took them a long time to even allow slaves to go to church. Took
Yep.
a long time for slaves to be allowed to read. But throughout all of the devastation we've suffered, our North Star has always been God. And we believed in God.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to learn to pray to God. And He answers.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. I believe that.
Yeah. I just want to please Him. That's all. And I'm no biggie. If I can help somebody, when I first moved here, there was a funeral home couple, and he had a gospel Sunday morning show, and he would start his broadcast with, "If I can help somebody as I travel along." If I can do something with a word or song, if I can tell somebody that he's going wrong, then my living would not be in vain. That's one of those old songs. But I remember that all these years later. I remember it. We can help. It doesn't have to be monumental. You know, if you call, and as you said, and say, "Girl, I've been thinking about you," or "How you doing? You've been on my mind. Is there something I can help you with?" Well, then tell you what, call me soon. And if you haven't called me, I'm going to call you. 5 minutes. And you have done something to please God. He wants us to love each other. And we can't get caught up in not doing, being able to do everything. We can only do what we can, and that's enough. That's enough.
Yes. Now, Miss J, you're in on the East Coast. Um, I know you used to do social work or something. What is the elements like out there? Like, we gotta pick this up, guys. I know that Miss Dorothy is so serious about what she does. I'm serious about what I do. You're serious about what you do. She's speaking so much wisdom, and it's so appreciated and so needed. Uh-oh, I think we lost her.
Oh, wow.
Well, we're going to have to keep talking, or you want to continue this next week where we can talk about some
Let's do.
things and talk about what's going on in the communities and continue creating a safe place for people to share their experience.
That
What
would
do you
be
think about
that
that?
would be wonderful. And if there's a way that people could send in their questions or somehow communicate what issues they want to address or want help with, I think it would make a difference. I'd love for us to do this at least one more Saturday or Sunday, whatever day.
Well, I think if we find a day that works for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and we could, I think she's going trying to come back in,
Yeah.
but like a day that works for everyone, and we can just have a platform where we can talk to people. I know people are trying to make healthy choices,
Mm-hmm.
but the way you speak so eloquently, I think sometimes that just helps to ease the soul,
Yeah.
and I think that would be a good place to start. Just let people enter into a room where they're celebrated and
Yes.
where we're here to encourage them.
That's
What do you
it.
think?
That's it. I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. And as I said to you, there was, it's not accidental that you and I met as we did, because there are no accidents in spirit. There are no coincidences in spirit. I had
Right.
been going to the place where I met you for 2 years, different days, different times, but Friday before last, we were destined to meet.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that. And it's such a pleasure because I've always wondered, where are the people that I can connect with, the people that understand, and the people that feel the same way, similar ways, and the fact that we're both September
Yeah.
babies,
Yes.
that did
And
it for me
left-handed.
because I know for a fact I'm
Okay.
anal, and people think I'm a perfectionist, but I just know that I know what I know.
Oh my goodness. You know, I told you the other day, it sounds like I'm talking to myself when I'm talking to you, but it is. We are. And that's the thing. People are more alike than we are unlike. All of this
That.
controversy, and we can talk about this next week too, but all the controversy about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, I was doing diversity work back in the 1990s. And I would set up sessions so that people could get together and identify ways that they were alike
See?
across race, across gender. We're more alike than we're unlike because the same creator created all of us. So we could
See?
do that. Let's do that. You just let me know, and I'm on, as they say. I'm on.
Okay, well that'll be good. And I know that I was gonna get in, well, hopefully let Miss J talk about her masquerade event. It's virtual, but I
Mhm.
do think that we all need to find a way to come to one platform
Yeah.
and let people know what it is that we do. Let people know that they can come on the platform. We can talk about so many different
That's
things
right.
and then promote what we all are trying to do. Because I'm going to tell you, I don't have time to go to all these different platforms and
Right.
try to figure out who's going to be on what. But I
Mhm.
embrace it and I welcome people to my platform so that we all can talk and so people can get used to seeing everybody collaborate. You know, they
Yeah.
need to see teamwork makes the dream work.
You're right.
And no, what better place to be than on Simply Jewel, you know, where people can, we can talk about healthy choices. We can talk about what we cooked the night before,
Mhm.
you know, how we're, like you yourself, you like to walk, you like to eat pretty clean.
Mhm.
So that's stuff we can talk about and
And we
just
can
help people
support
to
each
get in
other
line.
that way. You know, we can support each other.
Yes, and hair and
That
makeup.
yeah,
We have so much to talk about.
we do. We do.
Well, I just want to thank you for coming on.
I'm happy to
Um,
be here.
is there anything you want to say to the guests before we close out?
Miss J is dynamite. She really is. She has so much to offer. And see, she knows people in North Carolina and probably lots more places. But let's just see how this works. It's going to work because we're communicating. We're talking to each other, not at each other. And
Right.
nobody's saying they're an expert. We just know what we know, and we can share our experiences and just reassure people that it's not as bad as it seems. Okay? God's in the
Mm.
heavens, all's right with the world. That is. So I can't wait until next week when we can get with her also.
That'll be great. I'm looking forward too.
I am
And my
too.
apologies. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, I was just saying my apologies to people for these social platforms. One minute you were fine, and then you went out, and I'm trying to hear from a different mic. Listen, folks, this is hard work, but we're going to keep practicing, practicing, and
That's right.
practicing until we get it right.
All right.
And hopefully we'll figure this out.
We
But
will.
thank you so much for tuning in tonight, everyone. Let me see if I can serenade us out. And Dr. D, don't go anywhere. Oh, wait, I think I can get, let's see, Angela's back on before we say goodnight. Are
Okay.
you there? Oh, she's there.
Yeah.
We were saying goodnight.
Oh, okay.
But don't, she wanted to thank you and can you please mention your event the end of this month before we sign off, before I serenade you guys off the air.
Y'all can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, again, I apologize, y'all. I don't know what happened to this computer. It just had a mind of its own. But yes, I had, excuse me, y'all. I have an event coming. Big breath. I had an event coming this 30 for this month. I do. It's a masquerade party, virtual party. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And on April the 7th, I have a um event called Unheard Voices. And that's going to be April the 7th, that's on a Sunday, at
Mm-hmm.
7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, this event, I'm going to have a guest speaker up here, and it's not going to be live on Facebook. It's gonna be on Zoom. It's not gonna be recorded live. And the reason for that is because we're gonna be talking about this is gonna be geared all around sexual assault survivors.
Okay.
So, and wanted to get a safe space so those that want to attend will have to inbox me for the Zoom link. And those sexual assault survivors, safe space, no judgment zone. Speaker gonna come in and talk about how that you can conquer your triggers and all of that, right?
Right.
That was why we chose not to do that live
Okay.
and to do it on Zoom, so everybody can feel safe in a safe space. Ask whatever question you want to ask. Tell your journey if you want to, all of that. That's on April the 7th, at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom. So if anybody wants the link, you do have to inbox me. And I'm gonna put a form up also for people to fill out, and I better see the link that way.
Okay.
You got a lot going on, girl. I don't know how you're gonna do it, but we're
Well,
gonna
that's just
figure out a
that's just
way
half. I got 2 more things
to
going on in
come
April, but I just told
together.
y'all that part. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna serenade you guys out. Don't go anywhere, people. I'm gonna say goodnight to everybody, and you guys hang on if you would please.
Okay.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you.
Thank you for inviting me over to Miss Dorothy.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Stay put.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
see you in a minute, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Well, folks, thank you for coming on. Like I said, I want to thank Dr. D. I want to thank Miss Z, Miss Miss Angie. She has a new name for her platform. So Miss Jay, I'm gonna serenade you all. Uh, until next time. Sorry for the interruption and all of this craziness, but stay tuned for next time as I'll try and get better, and hopefully you won't be disappointed. And please make sure you tune in also to read or grab the book for Dr. Dorothy. This is her book. Until next time, good night, everyone.